Alright guys, what is graffiti? I know you've seen it. There's an image right here of one that really cool graffiti that's actually in Charlotte, and here's some other ones I found up on the web, just to start our conversation. But graffiti is defined as writing or drawing made on a surface. Typically, graffiti is made in public view without permission from the owners of the property. That makes most forms of graffiti illegal and a form of vandalism. Graffiti can range in complexity, from simple scratching of names on surfaces to large-scale murals like images. But tagging is one of the most common forms of graffiti. Bet you've seen some of these, maybe in places they probably shouldn't have been. A tag is graffiti artist's name or signature that can be done on buildings, trains, bridges, etc. Some tags are simple and done quickly, while some are large and elaborate. Let's talk a little bit more about the merging of this tagging and typography. Have you heard that word typography before? Typography is the art of designing the letters and words we use every day. Sometimes typography can be used in decorative ways to add beauty to the written word. A lot of times, there's consideration is spent on the typography that you might see in everyday in advertising and our daily life. Originally, all text was written by hand. Things became a lot quicker and easier when movable typeface around 1400 was invented and called black letter. In the 1920s, Frederick Goudy, you heard the name Goudy font before, became the first full-time type designer. He created many typefaces that were still in use today. With the creation of the internet and digital typography, the contemporary possibilities are actually now endless. What was originally called typeface is now called a font. So when you go into a program and maybe it's a Google Doc, you have the option of choosing some pretty cool typefaces and fonts, just like you see here. Different fonts can evoke different emotions and for different purposes. We are going to be focused on some other types of fonts and lettering that we think are more stylized to graffiti fonts. I'm going to teach you one of the first ones that I like to show, which is actually the bubble letter fonts. And we're going to be using this for a very special purpose this week, for Mother's Day. So we're going to be practicing writing letters just like these, and we're going to be doing it for Mother's Day. So the supplies that you are going to actually need are going to be pencil, something to color with, so I prefer crayons or even cooler, oil pastels. If you don't have the crayons or oil pastels, then you can use colored markers, would be fine, or colored pencil. And then you might need a Sharpie marker if you'd like that. All right, go gather your supplies. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your piece of paper, and since we're going to make this into a card, we're going to fold it in half. So just fold it right up there on the very half, and then you're going to press down nice and hard right there so you get a nice crisp edge. And then we're going to turn our paper so that it is horizontal with the fold at the top so that you can open it up and you can write a letter in here to your mom. Okay? All right, so everybody got their pencil? So we just need your pencil for right now. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take two of your fingers and I want you to put it at the very top right here. And we're going to make like little guides that are going to help us draw from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to put them on both sides. So on my right and my left, I'm going to mark those two little lines coming down, two fingers. Okay, and then we're going to erase these. These are just guides. Okay, these are just our guides. Okay, you do it how you want to. Now, in order, any graffiti that you do, you're just going to simply first write your letter. So we know this is going to be mom, so M-O-M. And I want to start in the center. So I'm going to put my pencil right where I think the very center of this is, and I'm going to make another line right here. This is going to be a guide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my circle first. So I can kind of trace it with my finger if it wants to get me started, but I want to go up as tall as my lines are and just draw the letter O right in the center. Now, you can go either way, right side or left side. We're going to do the letter M. So again, these guides are helping me go from the bottom up to the top. And any graffiti you do it just this way, even the bubble letters. So I'm going to do the same thing, the M on the other side. Now this is a good time to start talking about what bubble letters actually end up looking like. So bubble letters are actually letters that have rounded off corners. So you can see where it's very lightly drawn right here. So we're going to take those basic letters that we've already drawn, and we're going to be drawing on both the right side and the left side of both of our lines, thickening up our shapes and rounding off the corners. So let's look back at our drawing here, and I'm going to be rounding off everything that's sharp, and I'm going to be going on both the right side and left side of both of my lines, making my letters nice and thick and also rounded. Now, you can see here my letters are close together, which I want this to happen. I am going to have some overlap in my letters. This is a technique that graffiti artists use all the time. When letters come on top of each other, we have a sense, oh, look at that. I didn't round off my corners. So go back and erase, add that in. And I also noticed that my letters doesn't look exactly like the other ones, so I'm just going to kind of fix that. All right, that looks good. So now I can come back in with my eraser and erase those interior lines. We no longer need them anymore. And I'm going to clean this up. This is a benefit to drawing lightly. All right, we're going to need to select from the medium that you're using, colored pencils or pastels, oil pastels or crayons, something like that. We're going to need to pick analogous colors. So when we're reviewing what does analogous means, it means side by side on the color wheel. So as you can see here, I could pick greens and blues and violets, or reds and oranges and yellows, or purples and reds and oranges. That is your choice. So as we look here, these are 3 examples that we created for you that has those different color options. I want you to pick your top 3 favorite colors so we can create this same sort of blending effect right now. All right, hopefully you've picked out your 3 favorite colors. I'm going to be using yellow, green, and blue. Very important, you're going to pick it as you imagine the color wheel and that's sitting side by side in that order. So I'm going to pick my lightest color first, and I am outlining my shapes, and then I can go very quickly in on the inside since I've outlined. I'm going down 1/3 of the way, and then I'm changing over to my next color on the color wheel. So I'm picking my green. I'm going down 1/3 of the way using that green color, and then I'm going to change over to my last color, blue, outlining and then filling it on the inside. Now graffiti artists love to use a blending technique like this, but of course you can see that my colors don't blend very well. What I'm going to do is a little trick when you're using your crayons like this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to take my first color that I did and I'm going to go over on top just where my second color meets, and then I'm going to do that exact same trick grabbing my second color and blending it into my third. And you can see how it softens things up just a little bit more and blends it out a lot better. So this is a great technique to do with your crayon. So blending is a great graffiti technique, but also some other graffiti lettering technique are force field, 3D effect, overlap, and highlight. We're going to go over 3D effect next. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is take your black crayon or black gold pastel, and we're going to outline all the way around all of our letters. This is going to help out, especially if you had overlap on top of some of your letters, like I do my M and my O. And I'm going to quickly just go around. This is going to add a nice pop to your letters, and it's going to help that 3D effect that we're going to be doing next. So I think the best way to describe this is by understanding shadows. So we know if we have a light source that hits an object, it's going to be highlighted and light on one side. The opposite side is going to have a shadow. And that's going to be the best way that we're going to go over all of our letters. So in mine, I'm going to hit from the left, and on the right, you can see that I have a shadow. So left and then right, I'm going to have a thickening up and a shadow on each side of that. Again, light hitting on the left, and then a shadow is going to be over on the right, and that includes any of our shapes, objects that go up and down. We got to think about what would happen on the opposite side of each of those. Now that's not the only effect that we can do as graffiti artists. So we went over 3D effect, blending, and now I want to talk to you about a force field. Now I know that sounds really weird, but let's go back to our other visual where you can see that as a force field is an outline that wraps around all of our letters. It kind of glues and keeps everything together, and it's also going to add an extra area for background. So in mine, I'm going to come with that same black crayon, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I like to do this kind of following and mimicking that bubble letter style, but you could do it like puffs of clouds or anything that you want to do just to glue all of those shapes together. Alright, the last and final step is you can design the background however you want with objects, or I'm going to be I use cool colors for my blending, so I'm going to come with a warm color in the background. And so that's going to go everywhere behind that force field. Alright, I'd love to see how you guys finish yours up. Don't forget, send these in to me on Canvas or email me if you'd like to. And then that way I can see all the beautiful cards you created for your mom. Alright guys, have fun.